Welcome back to my channel. So I want to do a longer form video that involves us painting up some clone troopers, and thought we'd talk and chat for a bit while you watch me paint. Now just real quick, I'm just going to show you that sometimes you might want to get in with some actual black in those areas. I've seen a lot of folks go in there with ink washes, or like Nuln oil or Army Painter inks, and the black doesn't really fit as well as it should. So what you should do is you should take some black paint and actually get in there. So you get your black paint on your thin brush and just kind of pop it in the visor. These are nice little Originals visors that can kind of hold your brush and guide your brush. If you hold the right angle, you can get in there with some actual nice black pigment and actually get in there and get it nice and black. You won't have any kind of weird little white spots or parts that aren't fully black. Now when you're doing this is what this video is kind of about, is that you shouldn't get stressed or freak out when things go wrong. I was talking to a lot of painters at the game store and online, on TG and Facebook and Reddit and all those other things, and a lot of folks seem to get really stressed out when they're painting, and it seems so strange to me because when you're painting, you shouldn't worry about it. You can fix your mistakes. Like on this faceplate here, I give mine a mustache on accident because things will happen. Your hands are jittery like mine. Things may go awry. It shouldn't make you get stressed out when you're doing it. You shouldn't get mad while you're painting. Painting your miniatures should be an outlet for your frustrations and your anger or your sad thoughts about the day. When you go in and paint your minis, it should be your outlet, your way to get away for a while. It shouldn't be this thing that makes you frustrated. You get angry while painting. You should never be angry while painting. Like right here, I get that little mustache going on accident, but I don't stress out. I'm a pretty stressful guy. I got a lot of anger in me, but I don't get mad when I'm doing my minis. You shouldn't get mad while you're doing your minis. You should just relax, take note of it, and keep on trucking. You can come back to it. It's no worries. You shouldn't worry about mistakes you make while you're painting. Of course, when you're painting, as with Duncan and many other smart men have said, you need to keep your paints thin. Like this black's pretty thin. It can run if you're not careful. Just be mindful of your paints. That's all you need to do. Now, when you're doing these clones, they're wearing a black undersuit, so you want to make sure you get all those spaces in between the armor. They got kind of like a cat suit, kind of like a combat cat suit underneath their armor. And a lot of the times it's black, so it'd behoove you to go in there with a thin brush and make sure you get all those cracks with black paint. Now you can do a wash if you wish. It just won't work as well as getting that actual black pigment down in there and making it look black, fully black. So while you could use a Nuln oil or Army Painter wash to get in there and get that black in there, I would just recommend just using actual black paint. Now if you notice on that back end of the armor there, I got a little black splotch on there. Accidents do happen. Accidents happen in life too. You can't get stressed out about them. Just gotta stay on the current task and keep trucking along. There's also these little spots behind the knees and behind the rear armor where you gotta go in there and try and do your best to make it as flush as possible. It's really hard to do. This may be the actual frustrating part of your painting, but just take it slow. All you gotta do is take it slow, and say you do make a mistake, you got white paint, don't you? Just go back in there with white paint when it's all nice and dry and fix it. It's no real big issue. You just gotta enjoy what you're doing. You gotta use this as a cathartic way to just deal with the events of the day. Like when I'm painting, I use it as an outlet. I try and knuckle down on one thing and one thing only and do it right and focus all my frustrations of the day in that one little place. Doesn't matter what it is or what happened, you just gotta find a healthy outlet. And I think doing miniatures is a healthy outlet because you show a bit of yourself in your minis. That could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on who you're talking to, but for the most part you can kind of use your minis to reflect yourself. And it's a great thing about miniatures and mini wargaming because you're able to have your dudes. So we're just kind of moving along here, keep moving along, keep getting those under parts and under armor parts where it's all black, and make sure they're nice and black. You got the spots in the arm there. Now, this really is, I think, the most important part of these models, is this weird black undersuit. You can see that a lot of the miniatures some folks post, wherever it may be, you can see that sometimes they don't fully show the articulation of these armored bodies, and it kind of takes away from the main appearance of the clone itself. So I would say most of your time should be spent on these black parts, because they truly kind of outline your clone miniature. It sounds so strange to say it, but it's just one of those things. This under black cat suit thing makes the miniature. Make sure you go under the arms and in between the neck and all the other fun stuff. Also, feel free to skip ahead and fast forward if you wish. Some folks want to watch these parts, some folks don't. I don't judge. You watch what you want to watch, and if you want to fast forward, you go right ahead. Now, like I said, what comes next is the cleanup portion. Get you some nice thin down white paint going there and just kind of fix the little black marks. It's no real biggie. This is one of the more easier problems to fix in your life than anything will be. Don't get stressed out about it. Get your white paint, go in there, fix the little black marks you got, clean it up, make it nice and fresh and shiny and pristine and clear and crisp, and just fix your mistakes. That's all you gotta do. You know what you did. You know what on the model. Just go in there with that white paint, rub out that black, make it look pretty again. It's real simple, and it's nothing to get stressed out about. This kind of thing shouldn't ruin your day. See that mustache? Mustache is gone. No more mustachioed clone. Just remember that the mistakes you make while you're painting are easy to fix, one way or another. Just gotta go back in there with one of the colors on the base coat and make it right again. And don't be afraid to find another angle of attack. With this, I have this model flipped upside down so I can get to that face easier. Don't be afraid to twist it or hold it upside down or hold it strangely. Just get it done. Get your brush in there and get it done. That's all you gotta do. Now, when it comes to broad black surfaces like this gun, I use a broad brush. I use some thin down black paint, my broad brush, just to get it done faster, really. You use a small brush if you want, but I just went in there with a big broad brush just to get it done faster, really. Don't be afraid to use them big flat brushes to do stuff like this. They're actually quite good at it. And a lot of folks seem to sleep on the broad brushes. Afterwards, you take your smaller brush and you go in near the hands and you get the handles and the trigger mechanism. Go in the handles there, and a nice little thin brush. Use that flat edge and go in there and just clean it up. Get nice and black, get nice and crispy. It's real easy. Then, of course, if you got any mistakes, grab your white paint, go in there and just fix it. No issues. You're going to get black paint somewhere. It's going to happen. So just go in there and fix it up. Like the knuckles or what have you, just get your white paint and fix it. Super simple. Now you go. Now with this, you could play with these guys just like this. Just white and black. Just simple. There's nothing wrong with playing minis just like this. If this is as far as you feel comfortable going, there's no problem with that. If you want if to you yourself you say this is good enough, then it's good enough for you. Don't stress out about having to go above and beyond the call of your duties you believe you do as a painter. Just go as far as you want to go. But if you do want to go a little bit further, there are ways you can do that. One of those ways is taking an oil shade. Now me, I am pretty liberal with my non-oil. I know that. People who know me know that. See that big dark pool by the backpack? I'll slowly pull away from that as I'm painting. I'll go behind there. I'll kind of like soak it up with a paintbrush and move it somewhere else. You want to avoid major pulling, of course, and if you want to get the pulling away from that, well, then you take your brush and kind of sop it up. But I like being pretty liberal with my non-oil because it creates all the shades I need. Why should I prime gray if I can just make all the kinds of grays that a non-oil and white can make? That's just my philosophy. That's just how I do things. If you don't like that, you don't have to do it. You can do it your own way. Any painter can do their models their own way. But me, I'm pretty liberal with the oil. So I get in there, I get oil on everything. I want all them tasty grays, all the different grays. It help make your model that much more, give it that much more character, that much more definition. So I get in there with my oil and get anywhere that I can, really. Even on the black, I oil the black. Everything gets oil. And the helmets really do soak up a lot of the oils. A lot of little hidden creases in there that don't get a lot of attention if you don't oil it. Like the cheek hollows and the back parts where all those little nodules are. All of them need a little bit of oil kiss. And when it dries, it's going to look something like this. It's going to have all those gray shades in it. So all those gray shades. Now if you notice, there's a few flick parts here and there. Brushes will flick and those little black dots will appear. Don't stress out about it, alright? We'll go over it later. Now of course you could play with your models just like this, and that's completely fine. But there are ways to take it further. Now this is the second day because I let mine fully dry over an entire day to make sure there's no wet ink in there anywhere. Because white paint and black ink, well, they don't mix very well. So I let an entire day go by until I go in there and start doing my highlight layers. Now what you do is you take very, very thin white paint and you gradually build up that whiteness again in the areas you want it in. You keep the gray where it be, but on the big, broad, flat surfaces like the chest plate and shoulder pads, you get that white back in there. Now on the clones, really pay attention to the helmet. They got these big, broad, white cheeks and big old white chins. Build them whites back up on those flat surfaces. It'll really bring out the white in your model. And the shoulder pads also, because like I don't know, they look so good when you take that white, and you kind of build them whites back up over the grays. I don't know why, but when you get your when you get your paint thin enough and go over those grays, the grays still stick. You simply brightened up those grays. The grays won't go away if you keep your paint thin. If you don't keep your paint thin, them grays may find themselves white pretty soon. So be sure to keep your paint thinned. How thin you want it is up to you. Just enough to where it can flow easily, and you can build up your layers, but not so thin that it runs everywhere. And you'll figure out when it runs everywhere. It's pretty easy to pick up on. You might notice how mine, it really does look like milk in this particular scenario. It does look like I'm painting with milk. And white's by far the easiest to pick up on this note. As Duncan says, and a lot of people says, you want your paint as thin as milk or a milk-like consistency. Additionally, you don't want to load up your brush too much. Just enough white paint so it gets on the model easily, but won't squash out and waterfall everywhere. But after a few layers of white, here's what the model looks like. It looks a little bit brighter than how dark it was with just a non-oil. As a comparison, on the right is a non-white highlighted model, and then the one we just did is. You can see how those thin white layers kind of brought that white back out. But at the same time, all them gray areas are still there to show them shadows and all that fun stuff. It really is a fun way to paint. I enjoy it. It seems folk enjoy how they look like in the end, so I guess I'm doing something right. So it's really hard to say what's right and what's wrong, isn't it? But that's just another way you can bring out your models a little more. And there are more ways to make them go a little further. One of those ways is color. I love putting color on my clone troopers. It's my favorite thing to do. You can pick any color you want. A color that really speaks out to you. And get in there and make it more tribal, more designs, more how you want it. And it really brings out a ton of character on your models. Now, of course, this can be sped up a bit, but I go in here and I just put some shapes where I want to put shapes. This is by far the most fun part for me. The part that I actually look forward to is doing these funny little colors on my clone troopers, because it really makes me happy. You should do things with your models that make you happy. I mean, they should be the part of the model to look forward to. No one likes the base coat and all the work it takes to get up to a certain point. But man, you should love the little things. Now, these little things are what show you in your miniatures. These are the parts you should look forward to. Because in these small things, people are going to see your mini and they're going to see a part of you in that mini. They're going to see your favorite color or your favorite colors or the kind of patterns you like. It really shows a lot of you in what you do and how you paint. But this is going to be sped up a little bit, and I'm going to fade into the background. So there we go. It's all full of colors. And what you can do next is you can do battle damage. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I was scared of doing this. An Anon on /TG kind of coaxed me into doing this. And it turns out I really like it. I really like doing this little battle damage stuff. You take that same thin down white paint, the smallest brush you feel able to handle, and you just do these little white lines and little rough out marks on the armor. It shows even more character in the clones or the models you're painting. It shows they've been in combat, they've been through some rough times, perhaps, as we all have been, and you give them a few scars to show, just how bad they've had it, just how much combat they've seen, and there's no real rhyme or reason to these. You kind of put them just wherever you want, and I kind of enjoy that. I kind of like putting them these little marks just wherever it pleases me. It's really kind of fun, and it should be fun for you. This final cherry on top of all the hard work you put in. You get to make it look messy again. I don't know why. I find it kind of like those vases that are, when they're broken, they're fixed with gold. You put all this work into this model, and you go, you know what? Let's make it look damaged. And I think it's just this beautiful concept that comes to these models, and it just makes me laugh when I think about it. How you do all this work, make it look pretty, and you go, I'll make it look scarred up and damaged, and you draw these little white lines everywhere. Now, of course, what you could do, you could use white lines or black lines, or you can do like you kind of flick brown on them for mud, or you can take a sponge and make kind of like a blast mark in black if you want. A lot of folks do that. But me, for now, I went with these little white marks to show rub lines and wear lines and scratch lines. Really fun to me. Here's some more of the troopers I did, just doing the stripes on them. But I'm hoping to do more videos like this where we can just paint and chat for a bit. Down in the comments below, if you have anything y'all want to talk about or anything you want to hear me talk about, let me know, and I'll try and plug her in wherever I can. I think it's real good for folks to paint and talk to each other. It'd be even better if y'all could paint along with me sometimes. So I'm not really sure how to do that, except for y'all doing it at home with my videos. And when you're painting, don't get stressed out. I hate hearing about painters getting stressed out while they're trying to enjoy their hobby. This is all part of this is to enjoy the hobby, be an outlet for you. I hate hearing folks getting stressed out or down on themselves because they can't paint good. It shouldn't matter how you're painting. You should paint just to paint. This should be your outlet from the stresses and harassers of life. Just you and your mini, and you putting in your craft. So I hope after you watch this video, you can go back to your miniatures or whatever you're doing and just try to tell yourself to relax, that you're doing something that you enjoy, that you have enjoyed before, and perhaps something is making it so you don't enjoy it anymore. And hopefully you find a way to calm yourself down and get back into your hobby and really enjoy it again. You should always enjoy painting. You should always enjoy putting minis together. You should never paint angry. Never paint angry. Don't do it. Always paint with a smile on your face. It's been Garbro Miniature Reviews, and I will see you next time.